When you think of philosophy, what comes to mind? Maybe a lone thinker under a tree? Well, what if philosophy was more like a battlefield of ideas? Because for over 2,000 years in India, that's exactly what it was. Not a single tradition, but a fierce, structured debate between dozens of schools, all wrestling with the biggest questions of existence. And it all really boils down to a question that probably keeps a lot of us up at night. How do you know that what you see, what you feel, is actually real? For these ancient Indian thinkers, this wasn't just some passing thought. It was the central challenge of human existence, and they dedicated themselves to building entire intellectual systems just to solve it. All right, so to make sense of this incredible landscape, here's our plan. First, we'll get a handle on the universe of ideas they were all working with. Then, we'll look at the Great Divide that split them into two camps, the traditionalists and the rebels. We'll explore both the orthodox and the rebel views before we uncover the secret weapon they all shared, a philosopher's toolkit for proving what's true. Right. So all these competing systems of thought are known by this one single, elegant Sanskrit term, darshana. And that word itself, well, it holds the key to understanding the entire tradition. See, the word darshana comes from the Sanskrit root for to see, and that is just the perfect metaphor. Each school isn't a set of rules, it's a unique lens. It offers a distinct way of seeing reality, truth, and our place in the universe. The goal wasn't really about proving everyone else wrong, but about perfecting your own way of seeing. So, with so many different views, where do we even begin? Thankfully, there's a really clear dividing line. A single question that splits this entire universe of ideas into two distinct camps. And the question is this: do you accept the authority of the ancient scriptures known as the Vedas? The schools that said yes became the Astika, or the orthodox tradition, and those that said no, the rebels who chose to forge their own path, are known as the Nastika, or heterodox schools. This one fork in the road defines the entire landscape of Indian philosophy. Okay, first up are the Astika schools. These are the 6 major systems that all accepted the Vedas as a valid source of knowledge, building their worldviews from that shared foundation. And this isn't just ancient history, it's a living tradition of intense academic study. Looking at these modern notes, you can just see the dedication required to map out the intricate arguments and beliefs of each school. It's really a testament to the intellectual rigor that's been at the heart of this debate for millennia. And these 6 orthodox schools cover an incredible spectrum of human thought. You have Nyaya, focused on pure logic, Vaisheshika, which developed a theory of atomism thousands of years ago, Samkhya, which explored a dualistic reality, the famous yoga school of mind-body discipline, and others dedicated to textual interpretation and metaphysics. So, to get a feel for their approach, let's look a little closer at the logicians. The Nyaya school, these guys were the ultimate logicians. They were obsessed not just with what is true, but how we can rigorously prove something is true. Their primary contribution was this airtight system of logic and a theory of knowledge that would become the benchmark for debate across all the other schools for centuries. But what about the rebels? The schools that rejected the authority of the Vedas? Well, they forged their own, often revolutionary paths. These are the Nastika traditions. And these rebel views were anything but simple. I mean, these notes show just how deep their own systems went. While one section maps out the key ideas of several Gnostica schools, another is dedicated to a deep dive into just one, Jainism, and it reveals a philosophical structure every bit as complex as the orthodox systems. Now, among these unconventional schools are 2 you've likely heard of, Buddhism and Jainism. But there was a third, the Charvaka school, that was perhaps the most radical of them all, a philosophy so provocative it challenged the very foundations of Indian thought. The Charvaka school, they were radical materialists. They rejected anything that couldn't be directly perceived by the senses. No afterlife, no karma, no souls separate from the body. Their philosophy was simple. The only reality is the material world, so the goal of life is to maximize pleasure and avoid pain here and now. A truly provocative stance in a deeply spiritual landscape. So you have all these schools making wildly different claims about reality. How did they debate without it just descending into chaos? Well, they agreed on a shared set of intellectual tools, kind of like a common rulebook for philosophical arguments. And this toolkit is centered on the concept of pramana. A pramana is a means or source of valid knowledge. Think of it as a standard of proof. To make a claim, you had to back it up with an accepted pramana. The real debate wasn't just about what was true, but about which tools you could use to establish truth. And this wasn't just some abstract idea. The notes on the Nyaya school, for example, explicitly list their accepted pramanas, their valid means of knowledge. This just proves how foundational this toolkit was. The debate wasn't a free-for-all. It had very specific rules of engagement. So, what were these tools? Well, while some schools listed more, almost everyone debated three core ones. First, there's pratyeka, or direct perception, seeing, hearing, touching. Second, anumana, or inference, like seeing smoke on a hill and logically inferring there must be a fire. And third, shabda, or testimony, accepting the word of a trusted expert or a reliable text. And here's where it all comes together. The fundamental differences between the schools boiled down to which of these tools they accepted. The radical Sharvaka materialists trusted only direct perception. Buddhist and Jain schools accepted both perception and logical inference. And the orthodox Nyaya school accepted all three, with testimony, crucially including the Vedas. Their entire worldview is determined by the tools they chose to trust. So this isn't one philosophy, it's a constellation of at least 9 major schools, each with its own lens on reality, all locked in a structured, logical debate that spans millennia. And that's really the key takeaway. Indian philosophy isn't a statement, it's a conversation. It's an appreciation for the fact that there are multiple valid ways of seeing, and the real intellectual work lies in understanding those perspectives and the logic that underpins them. These ancient thinkers rigorously define the tools they used to build their reality. They chose their standards for truth, and it leaves us with a critical question, doesn't it? What are the tools you trust? Through what lens are you seeing the world?